The man marked by flames is Tom, not confirmed dead, the shipwright. And yes, his last name is literally shipwright, Google it. And there's plenty of evidence that actually tracks. You got Tom's brother, whose job is to study the sea forest where the Road Poneglyph used to be, and Elbaf already brought back Saul for Robin, so why not drop Tom in for Franky? This theory strings Fishman Island, Water 7, and Elbaf together to prove that the man marked by flames is Tom. Let's get it. The last time we saw Fishman Island's Road Poneglyph was about 20-something years ago in Odin's flashback. Fast forward to the present, it's MIA. It somehow grew legs and skedaddled out of the sea forest. Not even a peep from your Royal Highness, Mr. Jamon himself. And that's obviously a red flag. The average fisherman wouldn't know what that stone really meant, but Neptune isn't clueless. If went missing, he'd know. To me, it all comes down to Neptune trusting someone to babysit the Road Poneglyph. So if the stone didn't just disappear, who could Neptune discreetly trust it to? The Poneglyph was sitting in the sea forest, and who spent his life researching the sea forest? Tom's younger brother, Den. That alone already connects Tom to the Road Poneglyph indirectly through his family. And if Tom somehow escaped his execution at Ennis Lobby, and if I were in his shoes, I'd swim straight to Fishman Island. He is exactly the kind of person Neptune could trust, condemned by the government, outside their system, but principled enough to protect something this important. Now, rumor has it that the man marked by flames shows up sailing this cursed-looking all-black ship like it's the Flying Dutchman but in dark mode, like the Grim Reaper himself is riding on 24-inch chrome scallywag rims. I don't think Oda pulled that out of nowhere. This is just another History 101 lecture from the man himself, but in the form of visual storytelling. Ever heard of the term kurofune? Nope. Me either until 5 minutes ago. Kurofune, or black ships, come straight from the 1500s when Portuguese boats showed up in Japan. They might as well have been the OG Godzilla with the way these beefy water whips were dripped out from head to toe in a substance called tar pitch, which in some cases is made from trees, so that the ship's wood wouldn't rot on long voyages. America did the same thing too, kinda, but with smoke to give their boats that fossil fuel buff. Now drop that back into One Piece. Remember, Den is a sea forest researcher, shipwright, and professional coding mechanic. So imagine this. Den takes tree coral and natural resins from the sea forest, cooks them down into a waterproof pitch, and coats a ship with it for Tom. Suddenly you got a blacked out yacht carrying one of the most important pieces of lore in the entire story. And then there's the other big piece of the man marked by flames myth, the whirlpools. According to Lafitte, if you sail too close to the man marked by flames, the ocean itself turns against you. Whirlpools get spawned out of nowhere and entire ships get swallowed whole. Sounds like some devil fruit shenanigans. You even got Luffy jumping in with the free guess thinking that, yeah, it might be a devil fruit. Psych! Oda never confirms that, and if Oda doesn't confirm it, you should already be suspicious. So what's the actual logic? Let's start with the obvious. Tom's a fishman, and not just any fishman. We're talking a whole different breed, because this absolute hunk of a man is out here casually tossing diesel-ass ships on a regular Tuesday, assembling them motherfuckers. That craftsmanship is actually illegal. So your face had better not be looking shocked when you find out that he knows a thing or two about fisherman karate spawning in whirlpools. But here's a second angle here, too. Fishermen, surprisingly, can talk to fish. Who would have thought? It wouldn't be out of the question if Tom is putting a school of fish on the payroll to make some whirlpools. Oda's got options for days to explain the whirlpool bit because he lives and dies by the sword of piping shit up. He takes something practical like a skill, a power, just a cultural detail, and then frames it through a mythical lens. Usually the answer is always a devil fruit, but in this instance, it could just be fishman powers. Add in the visual cues Oda already baked into Tom's designs with the tats, the scroll pattern fit from the top to the belt buckle. Oda wrote the idea of whirlpools right into Tom's aesthetic. That is thematic to a T. There's also the issue of the rumor that the man marked by flames works for the royal government, as Shiryu suggested. You might think this case is over because why would Tom work as a royal government employee, except that he technically did. Not in the usual way, but he was hired to complete the Sea Train project to avoid execution for creating the Oro Jackson for Roger. So here's the part that really ties it together. Why would the Road Poneglyph leave Fishman Island in the first place? Because, let's be real, that thing sat in the sea forest for what we can assume since the Big Bang. Something had to trigger it, and the timing is insane when you think about it. 10 years ago, Fishman Island was in shambles. Queen Otohime, our favorite fishman MLK, pushing hardest for peace with humans, got clapped publicly by Hody Jones. That threw the entire kingdom into chaos, and at the same time, Vander Balls put a hit on a 6-year-old mermaid princess, Keep in mind, she's practically a baby at this point. Cody Jones was already sliding into full villainy by then. On top of killing Otohime, he was stockpiling pills from the thematic box. It was just not a good time to be on Fishman Island. Now think about this. The same year everything goes to hell on Fishman Island, Tom gets dragged to Ennis Lobby for his quote-unquote execution. The timeline is too perfect to be a coincidence. So if you're Neptune and your palace is practically crawling with future terrorists, are you really keeping the Poneglyph on the island? That's just asking to get raided. So why not entrust it to not just a dead man walking with nothing to lose, but a dead fishman walking with nothing to lose, especially before the feds or the next pirate crew decide to steal it and destroy Fishman Island in the process. If Tom really is the man marked by flames, then the whole missing Poneglyph mystery isn't even a mystery anymore. It's case closed, done deal. But wait, that's only the setup. The real story is why Tom said yes. Why would a man who supposedly freed himself from the risk of getting permabanned from life chain himself to carry the weight of protecting such valuable information, as if he hasn't already done it with another valuable piece of information? So what does a shipwright's pride gotta do with the Poneglyph? Everything. Tom's whole code was simple. You respect the vessel no matter who's captaining it. The ship ain't good or evil. It's just neutral. That makes him the perfect candidate to guard the Road Poneglyph. He wouldn't judge his purpose. He would just make sure it stays on tack, on principles. Franky's origin story shows you why Tom's code is everything. Franky channeled everything into building certified Sea King Slayers in the form of Battle Frankies. In his eyes, they were part of his passion and dreams to one day create the Ship of Dreams. People like Iceberg always negged on him for building what he called reckless and dangerous weapons. But Tom respected the vision. He never told him to quit dreaming. And here's where it gets wild. And this might be me just overanalyzing, but seriously, it's something to think about. Why do you think Oda used Franky as a vehicle to introduce us to the Elbaf mural? Oda could have easily had Robin view the mural while also reading the Harley text with Saul. She could have absolutely done two things at once. So why Franky? I believe the mural essentially illustrates Franky's backstory in mythological terms. A quick TDLR of the Harley text and the mural. The first world depicts mankind touching the forbidden sun, unleashing a hellfire serpent driven by greed and plunging the world into darkness. The second world shows humans killing the sun, attempting to play God, and the sea god storms the earth. The third world is basically the prophecy of Joy Boy aka Luffy bringing the dawn. Now, no matter how you decode the text, just strip away the poetry for a moment. I've always believed the first and second worlds just show the same cycle. Creation, greed, destruction repeating over and over and over. To me, that perfectly reflects how the world government exploited Franky's dream. Now here's what I mean. The first world says man touched the forbidden sun, greed unleashed a fire serpent, and the world drowned in darkness. Again, this might be me just overanalyzing, but it's kind of like Franky's backstory in a nutshell. His son was the Battle Frankies, built with good intent. But once Fandom's greed got involved, they became weapons. As a result, the serpent fire was unleashed when Tom was gutted by a harpoon from Franky's own ships, leaving Franky with nothing but guilt and ruin. Then, the second world says man killed the sun, crowned himself god, and the sea god sent a storm. I think that's just Spandam straight up murdering Franky's dream, framing it as a crime and the world government playing judge, jury, and executioner. The fallout from Tom taking the charge to Franky's desperate attempt to stop the sea drain left him smashed and left for dead until he came up with a genius idea to become a cyborg, which was Franky's own form of divine retribution. Now here's where the theory gets a little stretchy. During the incident, Franky himself goes on about how his harpoons were made to go in but not come out. Translation, a wound built to last forever. And Oda, for some reason, not only explains the mechanics of the harpoon, but Tom also ignores it completely, paying no attention to the battery and assault charge on his eternal organs as if it's nothing, until he smacks the shit out of Franky for talking out of line, right? Maybe I'm reaching, but what if that's what the mark by flames refers to? I'm not an expert on harpoons, but looking at those things, all I can see is a lack of smooth surfacing. They generally look like they will tear you the fuck up, and trying to pry one out of your bare chest would only make the injury look worse. I can only imagine that the shape of the scar would spread out in uneven directions, resembling almost like the outline of fire, and honestly, this is the kind of deep tragic symbolism I expect from Oda. If you want to use the other translation of the man marked by flames, the man with the burned scar, and really focus on the burn element of the name, you could still apply that to the harpoon as it was shot from harpoon launchers to attack Tom. Harpoons fired from launchers or cannons can cause burns because the burns come from the propellant used to fire them, like gunpowder or smokeless powder. For Franky, Witnessing his creations lay a finger on the stringy chest hair of his father figure was a low point, proof that his ships had only caused pain. He swore he never build again, but Tom didn't see it that way. Even scarred by his apprentice's creation, he forgave him. He reminded Franky of his belief that you love what you create, no matter how it's used. Years later, Franky passed the same truth to Robin and his lobby with the line that ties it all together. It's not a crime to exist. That's precisely why Oda didn't show Robin looking at the mural first. He showed Franky instead. Of course, the cynical adults of the One Piece world will look at those kid drawings on the mural and say, oh, that's naive, that's not how the world works. That's exactly what people like Iceberg would say to Franky as a kid. Your ships are too dangerous, Franky. Be realistic. Grow up. But Tom didn't see a reckless kid. He saw a brilliant dreamer. And that's the entire point of this choice. The foundation of the dream of world peace, or just dreams in general, isn't in some fucking complex 5D chess Rubik's Cube. It's in the simple, passionate idealism that guys like Franky have always had. By having him see it first, Oda is vindicating that emotional, childlike drive. It's a reminder that dreams are just feelings to be believed in, and Franky's been believing in it since day one, even when people told him that he was brain dead for it. The Franky and Robin parallel is so obvious it's painful. Their child dreams literally blew up in their faces and left them with massive survivor's guilt. They were two sides of the same tragic coin, which again, is why their backstories are shared in the same arc. And they both found that one mentor who refused to let them wallow in that guilt. And with Robin getting that emotional close-up with Saul in Elbaf, it absolutely makes sense that somehow Tom makes a surprise appearance in Elbaf. I don't think it'd be cheap fan service or cheapen Franky's backstory. I think it would complete the thematic arcs for these two deeply scarred characters, giving them the closure they've deserved for decades. But I think what we still need to answer is why specifically the Elbaf arc makes sense for both Saul and Tom to return. Alright, so the easy surface level read of One Piece is that it's all about dreams, and it is, but let's be real, there's this other, more controversial force at play: destiny, the prophecies, the lineage, the characters born into world-altering roles. On one side, you have Saul, who is the undisputed heavyweight of carrying dreams, by not only saving Robin, but also saving the idea of Ohara by preserving their books. And in turn, his comeback proved that Robin's dream and Saul's sacrifice weren't pointless, that they meant something. On the other side, you would have Tom, who built the Oro Jackson that carried the King of the Pirates to Laugh Tale and the One Piece. He did not just hammer some planks together, he forged the physical vessel of destiny itself. He's just there to be the Dom Toretto body shop of the Grand Line. I see nothing wrong living that life. So when you step back, it is almost too clean. Saul protects the dream, the why. Tom protects the destiny, the how. And if Oda's really bringing both of them into Elbaf at the same time, I don't think that's a coincidence. Elbaf might be the perfect place to prove it. When you have both the Harley that talks about prophecies, cycles, and the coming destiny that is the dawn, combined with the Elbaf mural rooted in the dreams of kids, which, by the way, Elbaf as a whole is just a total fairy tale wonderland, as Oda oh so passionately described earlier in the arc. I mean, that's right there. It's the perfect stage for Saul and Tom to link up with Robin and Franky and finally complete the equation. And this is the through line that sets Elbaf apart from any other arc before it. Love. Look at every major moment we've seen so far in this arc. Rox went to God Valley to protect his family. Dragon stepped in to save Shanks and Shamrock out of pure compassion. Shaggy being hot was the main reason her bar served as a neutral ground for enemies, while Ripley and Scopper's relationship created a literal bridge between races through their child Colin. And of course, Harold's love for both of his kids. And also, finally, and the most important, you liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're enjoying this theory so far. It's everywhere. Oda is positioning the idea of love as the core societal value. It's the fundamental force that unites people, that builds a true community, and it is the complete and total antithesis to the Celestial Dragon's pathetic bottom-of-the-barrel cruelty. Their whole ideology is based on division, on owning people, on being, and let's just say it, bitch-made. The Elbaf arc is showing us that the world has the potential ethos to be the polar opposite. It's about bonds that transcend blood or status. That's a direct challenge to the world government's entire corrupt foundation. And this perfectly reflects Tom's whole philosophy. You build a ship, and you love that creation unconditionally. No judgment on who uses it. So if Tom is actually the man marked by flames guarding the last Road Poneglyph, it makes perfect sense through that same unconditional love and respect for the art itself. It's Oda making a powerful thematic statement. In Elbaf, love is the foundation of a functioning society in a functioning world. Elbaf isn't just Robin's arc, it's also Franky's arc through Tom. Honestly, it looks like everybody's gonna get a piece of the pie here, probably except for Usopp. No, I'm kidding. Oda's not gonna forget about Usopp. It's Elbaf, come on. But seriously, the writing for Robin in this arc, it is shaping up to be some of Oda's best work for a character. And I'm telling you, it might even top her Water 7 arc. And I made a whole video about that, which you can check out right now.
It's pretty ironic, shit ain't no follow for me. Still in this bitch getting